Yep, there she is. This is what I was talking about in the previous impressions, is this particular character returning was not a good point for me, but yeah, I just got done with the 14th episode of To Your Eternity, and this is my impressions on the episode, so let's jump into it. See, the episode opens up, they have this whole kind of fight in the arena. He's, of course, been roped into it. His immortality, of course, is the thing that kind of helps him win the match, because this guy basically gives up, claims that he's sick, and falls over. But yeah, following this particular fight, everybody, of course, is starting to surround Fushi. They're all impressed by him. Essentially, we have Tonari claiming that the whole reason why everybody's surrounding him is because they want to, like, connect to him so that when, if he leaves or he becomes a chief, they can be in his good favor. So everybody's, of course, wanting to be on the action. And Tonari and them are basically trying to make money off of it by claiming if you want to come see him, you have to pay money. And of course, they do like a little kind of, tour around the place. We find out about the fact that there's several churches around the location as kind of a way of showing people outside of the island that there is, a religious presence to help, change the prisoners within the grounds. The kingdoms have basically given up on the island because they can't control it, so they just basically send people there and just leave them. And the prisoners themselves have essentially, run the island themselves. And only people that are not technically prisoners are allowed to leave, and Tonari is one of them. She's able to actually boat people in. And that's when you'll find out that, she's actually the child of a prisoner. She's not technically a prisoner. They have a triangle on their hand if they are a child of a prisoner or not technically a prisoner. And the actual prisoners have a circle within the middle of it. And she's claiming that Piorin is one of these people, and that Piorin is actually an actual criminal. She's killed like 10 people with poison, in which we kind of give a little flashback of her actually saying, yeah, I'm actually a prisoner. When she was doing the fake shaman stuff, they were essentially showing the fact that she had shackles and that she was technically a prisoner, or technically a criminal. But yeah, of course, jump back. Fushi's kind of really bothered by these children that are surrounding Tonari. He doesn't like them. We see some people hanging, and they're like, yeah, they must have stole some crops. It kind of happens. They're just very kind of nonchalant about the death that's surrounding them. And he's like, I can't be around you people. Leave me alone. You're liars. You're smiling in the face of all this stuff. It doesn't make any sense. Something's wrong with you people, basically. And so he leaves, tries to climb up the wall again to try to see if he can get to where Piorin is. And at some point, he finds a hole and he tries to dig in it. A mole attacks him. He bites the mole and kills it. And then he changes into the mole to see if he can kind of burrow into the hole the mole was coming out of. He ends up getting picked up by the eagle and taken back to Tonari. They apparently shuffle him into the arena. And then that's when he, essentially facing this guy one-on-one, he starts to try to remember something strong and big and fierce that can scare this guy into giving up. And as he's trying to remember, he ends up remembering Perona. And Perona, of course, being the girl that was, trying to save March, he ends up, basically kicking the crap out of the guy, and the guy, in a blushy mess, ends up falling over because he wanted to bite her really badly. But yeah, there's somewhere in that episode I kind of forgot to mention, he was resting at some point, and yeah, Hayase showed up and licked his face. Now, what's great about this... First off, what's great about this is I'm now at the point where I know a couple of story beats going forward, but for the most part, this is all I remember about the series. This is literally the only parts that I vaguely remember about the series as a whole, so I'm now officially able to really kind of talk theories here and not spoil anything, so that's great, right? So don't worry, from here on out, you do no longer have to worry about me spoiling something from the manga, because... there's one thing, but it's literally in the intro, and I'm not even going to mention that because there's really no point in mentioning it. But yeah, this is literally the point in which I started not liking this, or I started not liking, but started fading away from the manga. But yeah, I've never liked Hayase. She is the derpy-faced, crazy psycho chick. I've never liked her whatsoever. I was kind of happy when they walked away from her with March's stories ending, and then to have her come back in this particular arc. Tonari does mention the idea that somebody instructed her to bring him onto the ship, and the assumption is that it's Hayase. Hayase wanted him to be there. And yeah, Hayase has like some weird fetish with Fushi. And so she's there to kill him. But yeah, I don't like her at all. This is a heartbreaking moment too, because again, and this is me speculating because I don't remember if they mentioned this in the manga, or even if they did, I don't remember. The fact that he does turn into Perona does insinuate that Perona's dead. And that sucks, because the hope was that she'd move on, she'd take care of the tribe. The other assumption I'm making is based on the idea of Hayase showing up right now, that Hayase killed Perona. And that's what I hate, again. We'll see if maybe that's something that they revealed. But like I said, all the way up to this point, everything that he has turned into has been dead. He brings their spirit and body to himself. He doesn't ever turn into something that's not dead. And so him recalling Perona and then suddenly turning into her insinuates that she's dead. And like I said, I would assume it's Hayase that killed her, because Hayase hated Perona. She hated Fushi, and she's probably going around killing the people that she hates. So, yeah. Makes you hate her even more if that's the case. I'm a little disappointed in this episode overall. Not the fact that Hayase shows up, even though I do hate her and she puts a huge stain on this. It wasn't that well animated, and I'm kind of it's not that it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. Do not get me wrong. This was not a bad episode animation wise. They did a good job of still showing that feeling of velocity and everything, and all the shots. There was a lot of cool shots themselves, even though they were stills. They still presented it in a way that was moving, in a sense. So it's not a bad episode. Don't get me wrong. It's just not to the caliber that they've done so far. So hopefully it's just a case that they're trying to take a little bit of a break right now, because I'm assuming, if I remember correctly, things are going to start getting crazy going forward, and maybe they just need a little bit of an easy job with this, and they're going to move on to something really crazy going forward, so they need a lot of more effort there. So I'm perfectly fine with that. But no, I think a lot of my struggles in this episode really kind of comes around. So this is essentially you guys possibly seeing what drifted me away from the manga. There's several points in this storytelling arc that just keeps pushing me away. The idea that Tonari and them, I don't really care too much for. Them essentially dragging Fushi into the situation and using him, while at the same time trying to give this guise of the cool kids, with their cool little group, trying to take down the man. Oh, by the way, we're going to drag this random innocent person into the situation and throw him in a jail. Couple that in with the return of Hayase, which I've never liked Hayase. Hayase is technically not likable because she's a villain character, but at the same time, it's hard to understand her. So it's frustrating as a villain. She's not an understandable villain. So there's all these little kind of things are dropping on you at the same time. And then, oh yeah, by the way, Perona's dead. And that's kind of like crap. Like in the midst of all this kind of frustrating storytelling, it's like, oh, by the way, your favorite character in the entire series is dead. Or at least one of my favorite characters in this series is dead. Gugu being dead was already bad enough as it is. But yeah, it's just a series of frustrations, and then these like gut punches of characters you really like being kind of tossed away without any kind of sight to them. Now, granted, I don't expect them to jump over, have an opening scene where Perona dies. I don't really care too much for that. It's just more of a struggle because it hurts. And any of the characters you lose, losing Gugu was hurt, losing March hurt. They all hurt, and that's the point. It is supposed to be these things that you, along with Fushi, experience loss. And so you do hurt. It was interesting to see that the Beholder pretty much, he does correct Fushi in thinking that he's trying to blame him for Gugu's death, but he is kind of painting the picture to Fushi that he is responsible for death. He might not directly cause death, but he is responsible for death. His hanging around with people when he's obviously being pursued is putting them in danger. I would question his theory on the idea that this makes it okay for you to directly kill, but it was kind of a gut punch for Fushi, and that does kind of suck. I totally forgot that he lost the bear. I was trying to think of why wouldn't he transform the bear? Oh yeah, he never got back the bear. He's lost March and the bear. So Next episode is going to be exciting. Interested to see where this goes from here. Definitely, like I said, even though I was a little bit disappointed with the animation, I do understand it, and it still looked good in the end. So I am fully looking forward to the next episode, even though I hate Hayase. I really hate Hayase. But yeah, like I said before, this is where we're getting to territory that either it is kind of very, very cloudy for me, and basically the point which I dropped off. So I'm excited to see where it goes from here. We only technically have 6 episodes left, so that technically does put it in line with where I finished off with the manga. So I am curious if this will wrap up the manga or not. I'm not sure if anybody out there is fully caught up on the manga and know if this is going to conclude the manga, or if it just keeps going out. If it looks like it'll keep going after 20 episodes. But hope you guys enjoyed my impressions. If you did, leave a like down below, comment, let me know what you thought of the series and this episode in particular. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I thank y'all for watching, and y'all take care.